let's talk about all the mistakes I made, because that's not what a leader does. A leader moves on from the mistakes and doesn't waste time going and belaboring the mistakes in order to do what? To have penance, to beat yourself, because nobody's giving a pat on the back when things go right.
Right. Yeah.
I can hear myself again.
Yeah. We're live now.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. I remember how I shut things off before we got started. I didn't shut them back off. So.
Okay, so can people been hearing us
Yeah.
talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Andrew Laza, shout out to letting us know there was no sound coming out at all.
Again, with the no sound.
Yeah. Well, it's something
It's okay.
that needs to be remedied by not going at the last second. So.
Okay.
I, I I I would have had more feedback set up, but it's not. It's whatever. We're live now. We're talking about the Ohio State House at the moment, but we've discussed a couple things already.
It's
Um,
okay. Now we're warmed up.
well,
Now the
now
good
we're
news is
warmed
we're
up. We
warmed
can get
up.
everything out a lot
Ready to
quicker.
go. Hey, thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for letting us know that we're just. Hey, you guys can fill in the blanks.
You could, yeah. What do you think we've said to this point? Um, the Ohio State House, people are congregating there, and this is a viral picture apparently of people who are saying that the state is overextending its constitutional rights from a national standpoint, but also from a state constitutional standpoint, that they can't deem which businesses are essential and which ones aren't, and
Right.
it's unfair for them to be able to be doing that to the citizens of Ohio without there being maybe better justification. Is that maybe a good place to start? That
Yes.
justification of
Before
the
we go
danger?
on, I have to just ask really
Sure.
quickly before we go on. Is there any way for me not to hear myself talking and a delay behind it? Is that, or we have to do that?
I think if you mute it on your end, because like I have
Well, if I
all.
mute it on my end, I can't hear you at all.
Um,
No, I can't hear you now. So,
I don't. I mean I don't know.
okay. Well, because I can just hear myself in the background for coming through on your end.
All right. Um, we can fix that another time.
Okay, that's no problem. I will
Okay.
deal with it. I just want to see if it was a quick fix. If not
It's
a quick
not a
fix, we'll
quick
deal with
fix.
it. Okay, no problem.
No.
All right, so let's talk about the. Okay, so this Ohio thing. They're right. If here's what I feel about this. Do we want to talk about the Ohio thing or go back to talking about Trump for a second?
It's
Or do we
all it's all
do?
one thing, man. It's all go with it where you
Okay, all right. Well, let's talk about since you brought up the Ohio thing last. Let's talk about that. To me, it is like knowing you have the right to carry a AK-47 down the street technically, but not carrying it down the street because that's just not something you want to do in a time where people could get upset. It's kind of a silly notion. Even though you have the right, you should exercise it responsibly. So I think it's okay after some time to start going, hey, reminder, we have a constitution, but uh, it was also okay for people to go along with trying to get along with the order to try to help out because like I said before, people's intentions are good. They want to help out, they want to do their civic duty, they want to make sure that they are trying to go along with the program because they want to be part of the solution, not look like they're being a problem. So when somebody does step up and say, okay, this is getting a little bit silly, the people that have been getting along look at that as a threat for some reason. And the threat is because they think they're going to rock the boat and ruin everything. And they have this fear that now we're going to have to stay indoors longer. And that's not true.
I
That's not how it
mean,
works.
I don't know. It's. I think that the stay-at-home order was a good move
I think so
in
too.
the short
Okay.
term, but I'm we got to look long term. And the people who are willing to roll the dice, theoretically, they want to play the game, should be allowed to. I mean, it's not like you're forced to go expose yourself now that it, if we just opened up the marketplace again, as people like to refer to it, you don't have to engage. That's the thing, is you can still stay at home and quarantine yourself if you want. It's just like it's kind of the idea. It's like if someone else is having a party, I'm not allowed to go. I should go rat on the party. No, don't. Just let them have their fun. If you want to stay home,
Oh,
do your thing. Like,
yeah, I
I
posted
don't have
something
the
about
luxury of
that.
a stay at
People,
home job.
I
I'm going to expose that bias.
they had there was a meme that had a person they had the phone. They're like, I want to report people exercising their freedoms
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
looking out a window.
I actually I retweeted something from earlier. It was the one Karen from there's one actually like a woman who called in something that was ridiculous way back when, but it was her picture and she was coming out of the oh, now I feel like a horrible Christian. The rolled stone at not Nazareth, where the Galilee? Where was it that Jesus was actually crucified? Was it?
Oh,
He's from Nazareth.
on a
Died.
cross, I know
Did he
that.
die in Jerusalem? Oh God, I
No,
feel horrible now.
I,
Wherever
I
the
know he
where
had to walk. I know he had to walk on a street, which is like looked like it took
Bethlehem. He was
forever.
born in
So did
Bethlehem.
travel a bit
Yeah, he was
from
born
where
in
they did
Bethlehem.
the
Died
whipping.
in Jerusalem. Pretty sure that's where he died.
Okay,
Because that was
so
also like the
they
state capital. But anyway,
resurrected Christ. Oh, then the Jews had the order to take to Pontius Pilate had the order to take the body at the
yeah, and
end. So then the Jews
Pilate
is who
ruled
took
from Jerusalem. So yeah, that's
right.
what happened. Well,
That makes sense.
yeah,
I'm impressed with our knowledge.
but shit, where was I going with that? Anyway,
Hmm.
we're going with Jesus and where was I going with that? It doesn't matter.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Um,
But okay, so the people, no, the people that are going on exercising their freedoms, where other people are trying to tell them not to do that. Maybe it's something that relates to that.
Probably.
So okay, so anyways, with these people, let's just move past this to
Sure.
talk about how I think it's okay for people to start saying we're getting a little fed up with this to let the government know that the people who put you in place are now asking you to kind of get with it, step it up a little bit. So I think that's okay, and I think it's okay for people to criticize it because that's freedom too. So as much as they can go in freedom to say, "Hey, the Constitution tells us we can. This is not right what you're doing." People can also say, "My freedom of speech tells me I can say you people are nerds, you people are jerks, you people are stupid, one a bunch of dummies." And I don't think that either side should be calling each other dummies. I mean, on a really a civil level. I mean, everybody's going to call each other names, Twitter and that. Just what people do, Facebook. It's not a big deal. It's part of the freedom of a human to be able to express yourself in a way when you're angry with other humans for your viewpoints. And I think it's all okay, but I think we should talk about it because I think there's a balance, and that should kind of lead us into the segue of the topic I wanted to
Yeah.
actually kind of focus on today. If I may.
It's up now. The best thing
Okay.
about being a man is giving logical answers to emotional questions.
Now, I, as a man, instantly took this as the best thing about being a man is giving logical answers to women and their emotional questions.
To be a little more
Now,
direct.
apparently,
Well,
apparently,
and then one of the top
that's
answers here is actually the shot of oh, I forget what's her name from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The
yeah. Where she goes, "Excuse me."
excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, so it brings up the topic of about logic versus emotion and masculinity and femininity. And I wanted to talk a little bit and focus on the topic of masculinity by acknowledging there. I think there is such a thing as toxic masculinity. But if we're going to have that conversation, then we cannot leave off the table the other side of it, which is toxic femininity, because there's toxicity on both sides, and both masculinity and femininity are needed in any society to balance out each other. But when a masculine man takes on too much femininity, it turns things south. And when a feminine woman takes on too much masculinity, it turns things south. And when I say south, it just makes things awkward. It makes things not work
Imbalanced.
as yeah, it makes it balance off.
It's not balanced the way things should be.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It causes a disruption in the normal, natural flow of things. I'm not saying these are bad things. I'm just saying we need to be aware of it. So what I want to talk about is what happens to men when they're being raised by fathers who don't use their masculinity properly. They don't respect the masculinity and the strength that it has and how to wield masculinity, and to explain to their sons that this is when you exert masculinity and this is when you exert your femininity side too, by the way, because both men and women have both traits, and we
Right. I mean,
both, so the man has more of the masculinity and the woman has more of the femininity, of course, but we both can take on the femininity and we both can take on the masculinity. It's nothing wrong with that. So my point to that is, I think what happens is when young boys are growing up, and a lot of young boys, when they're developing the men, the father creates this really rough masculine side, where it's all about the getting the boy in line and straightening out and being a man and don't show any emotion and suck it up. And I think they at times they go overboard without showing that yes, at times you can be soft, you can be gentle, you can be good natured, you can, and you should be. You should be to your fellow human being. And when you need the masculinity is when you're protecting your family, when you're protecting yourself, when you're asserting your freedoms, when you're asserting your
I think part of
rights.
that is having a discerning eye on what's worth protecting, because I think that masculinity at some level is
Right.
protecting something, but the problem is I think when it gets toxic in one way is where you start protecting things that aren't even yours. One thing I
Right,
heard is
and
very
it's based
common.
off like a pride principle or something like that. Like somebody has
Right.
damaged your,
Well,
like this
there's
piece.
definitely a level of overimportance. Is that this is now
Well,
my responsibility with which to protect or to
I will,
engage myself in?
correct. We'll look at some religions that teach their followers that you don't let a woman disrespect a man, and the man is to raise his hand and to use it in such a way. If he does it backwards, then it's okay. You know, there used to be the thing, the rule of thumb. You could beat your wife with a stick no bigger than the diameter of your thumb, and that was called the rule of thumb.
I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah. So there was this. I mean, it might be an urban legend. I don't know, but it makes sense still that at times there was this understanding that when the woman gets out of line, you just let her have it and you straighten her right out, and don't you get hysterical and micro. Now, I think that's not necessary. You know how you see, get a hold of yourself,
You're
like
being
from
hysterical.
airplanes.
Stop.
Yeah, right. And one person after another's in line. Somebody's got a baseball bat. Another
You're
person
talking about
got a boxing
airplane?
glove.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
picturing the
that
same
movie.
thing.
So,
I'm thinking the
right.
same thing.
So
Yeah.
it's a great video. So,
Get a hold of
so
yourself.
my, so there is this nature that understand that women can get too emotional when their feminine side starts to go too much. Now, I do not advocate laying hands on anybody
Right.
in a way like that at all. That's purely joking around. I think it's silly. But if we get out of control, there is that I've seen people need to be restrained. Though I've seen women and men both act in ways that they let their masculine or feminine side take on qualities that makes it go out of control. So, and when a woman does that, she's taking on a masculine quality. And when a woman gets on a masculine quality where they get rough and they get in people's faces and they start acting like a man, trouble happens, because then a man's reaction is to react as a man. And that's when you see men punch women when they get in fights on the streets and that kind of thing. When a woman punches a man, that's acting like a man. That's a man thing. Now, I know it's to say, hey, you know, a man should never hit a woman. I agree with that. I don't think we should. I think you should always restrain and control the situation if you're
Well,
being attacked,
I
rather
think a
in
great example, like a metaphor
aggress.
to that, is actually when it comes to swearing. There's almost a double standard when it comes to adults being able to swear and kids not being able to swear. Because I remember I'm the oldest of all my cousins, and I remember having pretty much the same conversation with each of them around the same age, and they're like, What the hell? You get to swear and I don't?" Yeah, sucks, don't it? I'm like about five
And
years.
why is
I'm
that?
5 years older than you, and I get to fucking swear. Like, why? I'm like,
You will
and
too.
you know what? I explained it to him. I said, it's not fair because it doesn't make you look good. See, I told them I'm old enough where people have already given up on me, and then they chuckle. I'm like, it's like they already know I suck. So they want to still think you're like good and swell and everything, and you're incapable and pure, incapable of these bad things, and you're still pure. I get why people want to have these ideas of the people they love. They want to think that they're still developing. you know. But I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where this whole thing stems from. I think women, there's a femininity that always wants to keep things they love, whether they deserve the love or not, in a state of infancy, you know,
Right. Well,
which is
there,
good because it promotes growth, but on second, it also keeps you safe,
well, there's that push
you
pull
know.
about everything.
Right. Well, that's where
Everything is the the back and forth, and that's where masculine and feminine qualities, which we have to acknowledge,
it's supposed to
are
clash a
it's
little bit.
just two genders. There's two qualities of there's light and dark. There is in between. There's gray, but there is an extreme of both sides,
You're
and
breaking
that's what we
up.
have to
You're breaking
acknowledge,
up a little
so
bit
we
every
can
now
have
and
these
then.
conversations. Okay, I
Just to
don't know
let you
why.
know, I don't
Maybe
know.
no problem. I wonder if my hand's getting in front of the microphone or anything.
Okay.
How's that? Does that sound okay there?
It sounded more internet. I don't know. So I just forgot to
Okay.
let you know what's
Oh,
happening.
maybe okay. Maybe it was a quality a streaming issue or something. So anyway, so these two different qualities is like the halves of your brain. You get two sides. Everything's a duality. Nothing moves without duality. A singularity silence is
Well, to get
nothing
back to the
sits.
tweet you had, it mentioned
Yeah.
logic versus emotion. And let's get
Right.
back to what that duality, the logic versus emotion, has to do with the duality of masculine versus feminine. Where do you think those two tie into each other?
When it comes to the logic and the
Because
emotions,
look, I'll just reread the tweet you'd sent me. The best
right.
thing about being a man is giving logical answers to emotional questions. So
Right.
I just
So
I was just
so
going to
so
tie that
men
back into
are
what the
more
conversation we just
logic.
had. Yeah.
Okay, masculinity, and this is proven. There's studies that go on about this. Is based more in a logic mindset, and femininity is based more in an emotional mindset because femininity is softness, and softness is more emotion, and masculinity is more nature strict, kind of like by the book, kind of hey, this is for your own good kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
it's logic. So there's a song by Tame Impala about being a man, and it says something like, I act before I think. And that's part of being a man. And it's like, that's a true statement. We act first because we're programmed to protect. And when you're a protector mode at your program, the first thing you do is you're ready to go. What's up? And then you go, okay, what happened? Now I can start looking at assessing the situation. And I think logic is that kind of inherent rawness. When you take logic to the extreme, that's what it is. It's like, I'm going to make the move that needs to be
Well,
made in order to survive.
here's the thing I always consider when it comes to logic. Logic is the kind of study of what's predictable, right?
Okay.
But here's the beauty of logic is a never a finished thing because the concept of being the most logical person on the in existence. Think about it, right? There's always one person who's the most logical being. You want to consider it Jesus, whatever. There's always going to be an antichrist. There's always going to be someone who's doing the most opposite thing of the best thing, right?
Right. Well, right. So, okay, here. So think of this like this way. So here's where the woman femininity emotional side comes into play.
That's exactly what I'm tying it in. Yeah.
Okay. So the logic side of the man, which says this is what must happen.
This makes the most sense to me.
Right, right. This needs to happen in
Yes.
order to protect this interest that whatever my agenda is, whatever my objective is.
Right. This is what I've deemed was worthy of
using,
protection. This is the place. This
right,
is the
it's direct
people.
to the point, and I
this
don't
is
have
the-
time
yeah.
to. Right. Okay.
I'm
so
done
when
moving,
a woman,
I'm
emotional
protecting.
side, or the other side of the brain, half side of the brain, or the dark, or the light, whatever, the up or the down,
Right.
the opposite equation to that would be, yes, but have you considered this?
Yeah, right. That's
So,
all.
yes, but have you considered this maybe human element that you didn't think about before?
It's the never satisfied angle.
It's just something to question. And sometimes if it's actually feminine, the softness is actually asking the masculine, do you need to be that masculine? Or can you have a little bit of me in to help you come back over to my side more towards the center? pull, come back towards me? Or is it the feminine side, the masculine side is saying, do you need to be that feminine? Do we need to be this soft? Don't we need to be a little bit more disciplined for in order for this to work? We
Right.
need to be a little bit more structured. And it pulls the feminine side back to the center. You see how that works?
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
that it is. So
And,
there's nothing to be upset about when either side is doing this game of push and pull.
and that's where it gets goofy about these gender identities in my book because
Right.
like
That's
the
insecurity.
philosophical masculine, the philosophical feminine has very little bearing to do with the biological in my mind. Is like
Yeah.
I've met plenty of very feminine women who are also very masculine philosophically. You know, they're just very
Yeah, no, no. You have those that women that like they're yeah. Everybody knows the woman that is very masculine in nature, but
type A, like people like to say, type A
right,
women. You
right.
know,
They're right to the
yeah,
point, and that's a personality trait, and that's
right,
because of this diversity of diversity, no gender of species,
yeah, yeah, just
diversity
people
of
in general.
species
Yeah,
of people that create that
yeah,
situation. So then, but everybody also knows the man who's kind of soft and gentle. He's like the nice guy. Maybe he's a music teacher. He's a little bit more in touch with his feminine side. He's a little bit more understanding and patient with students when things get out. Instead of the gym teacher, who's the guy who's like, I told you to do the push-ups and you did 15 instead of 20, like it, you know. Where the music teacher, where if you miss a note, well, let's try that again.
see,
So
I'm
there's
that kind of music teacher when it comes to both. I'm the kind of music
right.
teacher who's like, "What the hell? You didn't hit your notes right."
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what we have the ability to do. So
Yeah,
both the
to be
I
able
had a
to.
gym teacher in school, and she was you know it was a woman, but she had a
Yeah.
short haircut and she acted very masculine.
Yep.
So she was very butchy.
Eastern European women, a lot of
Right,
them can have a lot of like
right,
my piano teacher was Eastern European. Man, whenever I didn't practice piano, she dropped the hammer. She's like, "What the hell's
right.
wrong with you?
Yeah,
You
well,
like
we're
I
not here to
can't."
play games, basically.
Well, she's like, "Yeah, your parents are paying money for you to be in piano. You didn't practice enough." She's pretty much like, "What the hell are you doing here? Are we just gonna have you practice?" I'm like, I had never been lambasted that hardly by a woman at that age. I mean, I was still like 8 years old. You know, she was like, "Get your
Well,
shit together, kid."
and it kind of brings you to your senses when something
Oh
like that happens
yeah,
too, right? It's kind of
oh
sometimes
yeah.
we need that as much as we hate to admit it. Sometimes we need the bucket of cold water splashed over our head when we're doing something that's a little bit not in our best interest. The universe has ways of doing that to us. If you get too cocky, if you get too smarmy, you get too unconscious,
It
something
pushes you
happens.
back. It pushes you back.
Right. And I'd like to take this moment to make a confession.
Sure.
It was my fault that I heard myself talking.
Ah, there we
So
go.
I take responsibility for that. I've corrected the situation, and in the future, I will not be so
Well,
unprepared.
let's move past it then if we've already
Welcome to
figured it
the
out.
show, Dealing with me.
Yeah, yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for bearing with us. I'm pretty sure we haven't nailed one yet. So,
No,
uh,
that's our goal. It's a lofty goal. That's our goal.
so
None of that.
I mean, speaking of, we're
So
taking a second. I actually wanted to make a shout out.
okay,
Today
yeah,
we are going live. We went live at 8. We're getting close to an hour from when we were supposed to have started. But I want to shout out to Mackenzie Puff. She actually is going to do a live stream tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I have on screen all her links. Check out what she does. She does what's called a comfy stream. I assume she's going live tomorrow unless she is taking a week off, but I plan on checking that out. So if you like anything of what we're doing here today, check her out today in the future, every Thursday at 8 o'clock. We're shooting at doing that in the future, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, just as kind of like a prelude to that, because I do enjoy listening to hers on Thursdays. Um, and actually, Steve, she had listened to some of our past live streams, and she got a kick out of what we've
yes,
had to talk
yes.
about.
I would. I'd love to eventually do one all together. That'd be fun to talk about some of these topics and add another voice to
She
it.
has been on the show a few times, so we could probably make that
Okay.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great. But yeah, that'd be enjoyable. Yes, it's but it's so these are the kind of things that people can I think that we can be okay with having all this kind of spectrum of identity that people decide they want to feel like. And I think that I want people to know that I'm not opposed to people feeling like they're this person that they develop. But what we have to all agree on is the sun comes up in the morning, and in the night the sun goes down, which means there's a man and there's a woman, there's a male and there's a female gender. And just because we just acknowledge this does not mean you're homophobic. It does not mean you're transphobic. It doesn't mean you're afraid of anything. It means you're acknowledging gender, you're acknowledging basic things. And anybody that's scared actually is a person that's projecting the phobia because they don't want their ideas challenged. They want their ideas to be accepted so they feel included. And I want to tell those people you are included, but you have to at least agree with us on some basic principles first. That's all.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that's a fair thing on both sides, both male and female, both of the man and the woman in a relationship or any type of diverse situation where you're in business or anything. Like if you're in a business situation where you're both CEOs and there's a man and a woman, there's going to be a tension there if they're both attractive people. There's going to be a sexual tension there because instantly the man looks at the woman and goes, oh, she's attractive. And the woman instantly goes, he would make a good husband to somebody if she's already, even if she doesn't even know she's acknowledging that. The man didn't have to acknowledge. It doesn't matter. It's happening. Whether you want it to have like the
societally reinforced. So
the sun comes up and the sun goes down. These things happen. So when we acknowledge that and we respect that situation, now when we're doing business together, we're talking to each other in an office, we're treating each other with respect. At the same time, there are going to be people that attract each other, and let those people that are attracted to each other do what they feel natural, what they're allowing the flirting. What causes problems in those situations, and when it becomes a hierarchy where there's a manager involved or a rank of employee where people are getting favors and advancements, and then people's feelings get hurt, and then now it becomes a sexual relationship behind the scenes, and now somebody they broke up because they don't like each other because that's what men and women do, and now it fucks up the work situation. So that is where that makes trouble. So you don't want to take it to that extreme in a workplace situation because that's what ends up happening. And that's why there are these, that's what causes all these silly, I don't want to say silly, but these silly claims about, I heard a joke I didn't like and now I'm sexually harassed. That's not what that's for. That's for the skeezy guy or woman, salacious woman that takes their position of power in a company and uses it against an opposite sex or somebody they're attracted to, could be the same sex too, and advances on them with the idea that they're going to get special privileges if they give in to the sexual favors that the boss is asking for. And that's absolutely barbaric, that's absolutely heinous, and absolutely those people should be held accountable. But it's not meant to clobber everybody over the head because so-and-so told a joke to his friend when he didn't know so-and-so uptight stick in the ass was going to come around the corner and happen to hear a word that made them feel uncomfortable. So now they're going to run and tell on them, and now they're going to start a trial. Now a policy is going to, and it causes businesses all sorts of problems. So basically, it comes down to be fucking cool. If you can't be cool, shut the fuck up. That's it.
I guess that's that. Yeah.
No, so I mean, I just went on to a little thing about how the masculine, feminine nature in a workplace, how it works in a relationship is very the same, and it's all about this push pull of the black versus white tearing at each other to keep the balance in the center. And I think if we start looking at that when we're dealing with each other, we can get along better, we can understand each other better, and we understand that once we acknowledge that basic fundamental dynamic. Now we can play the game. It's like, okay, what are the rules of the game with chess? They are this. So now let's go on there and after the game starts, get upset and kick all the pieces out the game and say, yeah, I fucking won. That's what people do because they let their emotions get too bored. Or if you're like, yes, I'm going to be a real jerk and shove it down this person's throat how much I'm going to win the game, that doesn't make it fun either. So I think it's this balance of push and pull. It's in the middle. In my heart, I know that feels right to me, that I've noticed the things that make sense is when the silence is in the middle, the perfection is in the middle because nothing needs done in the middle. So this eternal struggle to keep it in the middle is up to us to play with each other, not in a sexual way, but that can't happen. But us to volley with each other, this game of life based on these basic principles. And once we know the rules of the game, we play chess as a good sport. We play baseball. That's why we shake hands at the end of the game. You won, but good game. Man, we thought we had you guys, but you got us. Basketball, whatever. This is what sportsmanship is supposed to demonstrate, not this, all these contracts and look at me, I'm better than anybody else, and we got to win and tear down each other's cities and get in these rivalries and call each other's fans
Dude, that's what it's all
losers.
about. I'm cutting you off there.
I mean, it's
that's
fine.
Bullshit, man.
That's fine. Talking in sports is what
Man, I went to Chicago. All I do is talk shit on any Chicago
That's fine.
team.
I know
That's
people
what
that are
life
really
is about. No.
If you're gung ho sports, I get it. I'm not a gung ho sports person, although I appreciate the entertainment of it. I just think sometimes it can be a little cruel if people take it to
my
an extreme.
Chicago friend fans love to hate me. There's a beauty in the animosity.
Well, if you want to play that game, that's what it comes with it. You have to have thick skin, and you play that game.
But you have to know what you're talking about too.
I get it.
You can't just talk.
Yeah, right.
Shit
That's what I'm saying. Not everybody. But here's the thing: not everybody that watches sports wants to get in the rigmarole of tearing each other down. And I think sometimes people that are just honestly supporting their team get in the fray of people that are too masculine or too much. Oh, you're a guy. You suck. You're a piece of shit. It's like some people don't want to play that game. Have some understanding there. Sometimes I think that should be just commonplace, but. This is still the same thing. All these different things are the same thing. It's a push-pull. There's this thing about some people want to sit at home and never go to a game in the stadium, and some people love being season ticket holders. This is okay on both sides. Some people like to bet on horses. Whatever floats your boat. Those jockeys or something.
We're getting close to an hour, actually, Steve.
Okay, well, I think right now, to me, that we covered the topic we wanted to talk about. I think I'd like to leave with this kind of close. I'll wrap it up with this. I'm encouraged what I'm seeing developing here, and then with this virus, I think we're going to be starting to wrap this up. I think we're going to be opening up soon. I think Ohio. I looked at a list of states that are opening. For us in Ohio, I looked like our date is May 1st is the goal date for going back to work. I think. Everybody that's out there, the good thing, what I'm seeing is people that want to work. They're not being, hey man, I'll just stay on this quarantine forever. Screw this. I like getting this check doing nothing. No, people are like, hey, let's go back out there and do our thing, and that's great. And I think that this is going to lighten up. Like I said, the stores have more things on the shelf. We talked about it in the beginning, probably the part that nobody could hear, but that's okay. It was nonsense. Drivel. And but
eventually,
yeah, it'll be fine. So anyway, so the stores, I went to the stores. There's lots more things on the shelf. I was able to get toilet paper, Clorox wipes, water, all the things that you normally get. So all the panic buying has subsided. People are seem to be they're kind of coming back out. Is it safe to come out, kind of a thing? It's like the Wizard of Oz when Dorothy lands and the what's her name? The fairy princess or whatever comes down, the good witch, Glenda, comes out, and she's like, goes to all the munchkins. She's like, come out, it's time to come. And
I never liked the original, man. It always creeped me out.
Yeah, it is creepy. It's good to watch when you screwed up.
That's why I don't think I've gone back and watched. I've gone back and watched the sequel with James Franco more recently than I've seen that.
There's something about playing the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon and watching the movie at the same time that can be very synchronicity there. And I have
that's not.
That's just people that are in some really heavy stuff.
That's not. But anyways,
the point is, people are. No, I understand. Alice in Wonderland's kind of freaky like that too. Those are those kind of trippy kind of things. But the point is that that scene where they all start coming out, that's what I feel is starting to happen. I think this is starting to lift. I think we got this thing on the run. I think the numbers are incredibly low. I think that this is...
There's a lot of people who are benefiting off the fear of not engaging in public discourse.
Never let a crisis go to waste.
Right.
I mean, you got all these scammers.
My first thought is always who's benefiting most from the fact that businesses are shut down and counteract that.
It's just how it goes. It's like when something happens, no matter if it's Hurricane Katrina or an earthquake or a major event or a rally that goes south or Antifa or anything, it turns into this All these people come out of the woodwork to make money off it. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's just gotta accept that's just how it is.
Yeah. All right, man.
We're a society that is driven on capitalism, so we gotta compete and buy
We
and
got
buy
to
and
keep the engine running. We got to keep the furnace
yep.
full.
And hopefully you guys can consume this bit of media here, and it gets into your brain and makes a little sense and makes your lives better. Because that's what it's all about: having fun and making each other's lives better.
Yeah.
Not work.
Trying to share a little wisdom and entertain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's keep the positive vibe going. I like it.
All right.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you.
Yep. Like, comment, subscribe.
Pleasure.
Peace out.
I am Mandatory Martini, and I will see you soon.